But hi everyone. Great e-meeting everyone first before your trip to sunny Singapore. I'm sure I'll see most of you during your last week here in October. So looking forward to that as well. So in terms of what I've planned in terms of the information and also agenda today, I'm thinking of just sharing a little bit about the organization I'm from, if you don't know already, and then to dive into some information about Singapore, the market that you'll be exploring this time around, and also lastly, some cultural reflections or maybe differences to take note of when doing business here in Singapore. So just a little bit of a background of the organization I'm representing today, which is Business Sweden. It's also known as the Swedish Trade and Invest Council, and we are jointly owned by the Swedish state and also the Swedish business sector with a mandate and a mission to help international companies gain access to the Swedish market and also help domestic ones to utilize it as a platform for expansion. So our clients usually range from startups, small, medium-sized businesses to the multinational corporations. And for Business Sweden, we offer both hands-on support and also strategic and practical expertise with the capability to help you access both the market in Sweden and also throughout our various offices across the different regions. In Asia Pacific, in the Asia Pacific region, we are represented by 18 local offices with also more than 50% of local staff to provide sort of the local market information that companies may need, and also some practical advice as well as to how to navigate the local ecosystem over here. So in terms of Singapore, which is the market that you'll be actually traveling to in end of the month. So just a few information about what Singapore is, if you don't already know. So Singapore is located in the heart of Southeast Asia, which is also home to almost 700 million people, and it's the fifth largest, and the region itself is also the fifth largest economy in the world. Singapore has a population of over 6 million people, 6.11 million as of June this year also, and a GDP of over 500 billion. It's often a location of choice for companies to base their headquarters, manufacturing, and also innovation activities to tap into the global market. And this is supported by a pro-business environment as evidenced by the various global rankings in terms of global competitiveness, ease of doing business, IP protection, and also innovation. So when we compare it to, I guess, Sweden, and also I think it can largely be extrapolated to the comparing it to the Nordics region. Although the distance is quite wide, almost 10,000 kilometers apart, and we have very different climate. Both economies, I would say, is quite similar in terms of the emphasis on innovation, technology, dependence on exports, and also active participation in global trade. And increasingly, both countries or both Nordics and also Singapore are also placing further emphasis on green transition and sustainable development. Over the years, we have also seen sort of Nordic-Singapore interactions growing, not just from the trade perspective, which has doubled from 2012 to 2022, at least for the Sweden exports, but also in terms of collaborations that we have seen on the ground. And these collaborations, there are definitely more in the overall Nordic ecosystem, but from the Swedish perspective, we've seen, different partnerships from trade to academia in terms of free trade agreements with the EU. There's also pilot acceleration programs in Stockholm under the Global Innovation Alliance initiative. There have also been partnerships amongst the universities as well, and also different sectors like the maritime and supply chain and also healthcare. In Singapore, there are a multitude of Swedish businesses from a variety of different sectors that have established themselves here with the sort of the goal to grow firstly in Singapore and then also towards the region. So there are around more than 200 Swedish companies right now employing between 8,000 to 12,000 people. And in your journey here in Singapore, you'll also likely come across and meet with these different key stakeholders within the Singapore government ecosystem. So EDB, Singapore Economic Development Board, who you'll be hearing more from later. So they are a government agency responsible for strategies that enhance Singapore's position as a global center for business, innovation, and talent. There's also Enterprise Singapore, which champions enterprise development and supports the growth of Singapore as a hub for global trading and startups. And also SG Innovate, a private organization wholly owned by the Singapore government, which is established to catalyze innovation, accelerate growth, and also forge connections within deep tech. In maybe some key cultural points when we consider sort of like how the business environment is in the Nordics versus Singapore. So I would say it's quite similar to the West, but there are some organizations which are a little bit more traditional and the elements of like respect and also hierarchy. So like seniority and also authority are highly valued over there. So recognizing, how the companies are actually structured would be quite important. I think it's quite common that, when we address Nordic organizations, we just start with the first name. But there are organizations here in Singapore that you still have to address them by the title. So like Mr. or Miss and with their surname so that it's a little bit more formal. But largely, if they are MNCs, usually it's fine with a first name. So that's the difference there. And depending on how the organization structure is, so impact the communication styles that you have with the people that you meet and also the teams that you work with. And in Singapore, we are the primary business language is English, so most of us are fluent in this. Most of the locals will also know a second language, which we call our mother tongue. So more commonly referred to the language we use at home and with our family. So that's usually a combination of Mandarin Chinese, Malay, or Tamil. And there are sometimes, maybe in the conversations that you'll have with the local partners here, it's something like English, but it's not. So it's a colloquial term called Singlish. So we mix in sort of like different terms with English sentences. So sometimes you may pick up on that. And also, in terms of networking, it's important to still bring along your physical name cards. We still use that a lot, I would say, in different meeting settings and also events. And we do use that as of a conversation starter sometimes and also to exchange them at the start of the meeting. So do bring them along in your luggage. So it's a very short overview, but do feel free to let me know if there are any questions you may have or something you're interested to know more about. I hope this gives you a brief overview of this market.